I love it. John, great to meet you, sir. Thank you for taking a minute out. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Joe, of course. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, you bet. So before we get into your good work, I want to know this. 5 years ago, this pandemic was beginning. We didn't know where it was going to go. All of us were thrown into the unknown. How did you make it through it? And how did it ultimately affect the way that you live your life today?
Oh, that's a wonderful question.
Thank you.
So, 5 years ago, the world shut down, and I took it as an opportunity to rewrite my book and record it as an audiobook
Yeah.
because I had all this downtime. And I was like, what do I do in all this downtime? And I did that. But then I also took it as an opportunity to to create a new edition of my business because I've been coaching for 12 years and I was trying to figure out how to package it in a more meaningful way. And I packaged it as a 13-week system and I launched that during right after the pandemic.
Yeah.
So, like, the pandemic was crazy time, and I used it as a way to kind of molt and regrow and remake myself, Joe.
Yeah.
It's an awesome question.
But it's kind of like the moth that and the butterfly. You know what I'm saying? Has that whole underpinnings,
Totally.
you
And
know?
and you could have taken it like you could have taken it in many ways, Joe.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have drank your way through pandemic and like it now be a blur. I mean, you
It's
could.
yeah, you totally could have, and I remember being in that time period, and it was like it was a monopoly. There was no other thing that we could do at the time, and I always do these kind of funny year-end podcasts with my son, and he's on the spectrum. He's 20
Yeah, yeah.
now, and I remember at
Yeah.
the end of 2020 we did this. It was like the last day of the year, and I
Yeah.
was like, "How was this year?" And he was like, "It was good," and he was being real, and we were just he was going through all the things, and it was like we had just moved. We moved into a new house in January, thankfully. We didn't do it
Great.
later and just all the little things. Like I remember at one point I took him to a nature sanctuary and we're driving around and we pull up and I see all these people around me kind of freaking out with cameras. There was a
Yeah, yeah.
bald eagle that was coming into a tree. And it's
Yeah,
those little
yeah.
moments. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No, Joe, it's all your perspective.
yeah,
If you choose to look at all the good things that happen over the course of the year, it's gonna be a great year.
yeah,
If you choose to focus on and narrow in on the things that didn't go right,
yep,
it's gonna be a shitty year.
yeah.
It's all mindset, man. It's not that hard.
I know. You're totally right. I dig it. So let me ask you this. If I put
Yeah.
you in front of a bunch of sixth grade students at career day and we wanted to get to the essence of what you do on a daily basis, the kid in the back of the room is like, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer them?
What do I do for a living? That's a really great question. Um, I coach people. I'm a coach. I coach people to bring out the best in themselves.
Yeah.
To to like I point a mirror at you and ask you what you want and help you figure out how to get what you want. That's all I do. I'm a coach. And
Yeah.
that's all a good athletic coach does
Yeah.
is help bring out the best in his team and his players. I mean, that's what like I'm so fortunate. I I created a business around well-being because I have been in a fight for my life around well-being for the last 28 years and I've developed a system and I assist people to cut out all the crap, get to the essence and say let's focus on this because if you focus on that, it will take your life from here to here in a very disciplined, methodical way. And that's all we want.
Yeah.
That's all we want.
Yeah. Yeah. So what did you want to be in the sixth grade? What was your dream life?
Sixth grade, Joe. What did I want to be? Oh my gosh. I was living in Richmond, Virginia,
Okay.
and I had just moved there from Vermont. And I probably wanted to be an athlete.
Yeah.
I probably wanted to be like I probably wanted to be a football player. I probably wanted to be a really great football player, like a great receiver,
Yeah. Yeah.
in sixth grade.
Yeah. So how did we get here? Take me back to where you were born and raised. What were the foundational seeds that were planted into you that made you become a coach, that made you become an author? How did this happen?
Yeah, yeah. Right. So I was born in Burlington, Vermont,
Okay.
going back to Vermont, you
Yeah.
know, and it was an amazing place to grow up in nature, like my field trips to the Audubon Society, maple sugaring in the winter, sledding all outside all day long, skiing. I started to ski when I was 2,
Wow.
and so like being outdoors, and that's really the ethic that was bred in me young, boating on Lake Champlain, being outdoors, hiking with my dad up Mount Mansfield, running through the forest, in streams with my brother, damming up the streams with the snow melt, chasing salamanders. That was my early upbringing, and it bred into me like that outdoor environmental ethic. Um, and so, then you say, take me to now. I was a hard charger, Joe. I was a hard achiever in school. I did great. I was an athlete. I excelled there. Um, and then I was at MIT getting a grad degree, and I got diagnosed with MS.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? And I was always about being able to will my way to what I want. And so, you know what I did? I gave it the finger. I said, F you, I don't have you.
Uh-huh.
And I tried to not associate with it. And for 8 years, I did amazing, amazing things. I climbed a bunch of the 14,000-foot peaks in California, names like Mount Whitney, Mount Shasta, all the amazing peaks. And I ran marathons, ran 3 of them, ran triathlons, uh, worked crazy hours launching internet startups, building enterprise applications. I was in software development, and I really pushed the accelerate button to figure out what the edges of life were like. I wanted to know what the boundaries were, and I didn't want to use the MS as an excuse not to live my best life.
Yeah.
I just didn't.
Yeah.
And so I pushed the accelerate button, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go as hard as I can until you say stop. But you know what? 8 years in, it said stop. It brought me to her knees.
Yeah.
I could barely walk. I was having trouble talking. I was failing online tests at work. My wife and I wanted to have a child, but we were just married, but that was not going to happen. My body just was not working on a lot of levels, and that was just not going to happen. And I did a raw vegan retreat at a place in San Diego for 4 months, and basically went in there shuffling my feet, my mind going in circles like, a 90-year-old guy in trouble. And I came out striding long-legged with sensation back in my fingertips.
Wow.
I'm like, who does that?
Yeah.
Who do, who does that in the MS world? You don't effing do that.
Yeah.
Like it's unheard of. And I was 35. Okay. And I did that. And I got my life back. And 3 months after I was home, my wife was pregnant.
Wow.
And so I have an 18-year-old son now because I radically shifted my body through natural healing means 20 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
And
That's
that
amazing.
allowed, and that, so that was the basics. That experience allowed me to find the seven key, four of the seven key elements to well-being, which was body, emotions, mind, and spirit. Those are the four elements I found at OHI in San Diego.
Yeah.
And then over the next 8 years, as I wrote the book, it took me 8 years to write the book. I found three more elements, which was profession, financial, and social. And those are all seven elements that are aligned with body energy.
Yeah.
And so I had to figure out how to naturally align with body energy because I leak energy because my nerves are frayed because I have MS.
Yeah.
And so that's the system that I developed going through my shitstorm.
Wow. That's
And
amazing.
that's what I coach on. I
Yeah.
coach people on that, you know? And
Yeah.
like and people eat this stuff up. They're like, I coach, I have two age groups. I coach like 18 to 28-year-olds. They're trying to install their life operating system, and I help them coach and install this life operating system so that they get to this point faster, you know, than, and not go in circles and up and down, try to get here as intentional as possible. And that's what I do.
I'm watching a show with David Blaine, the magician, and it's through National Geographic, and he's going to different places around the world. First place he went to was Brazil, and these people
Yeah.
are doing crazy things in the street, just street performers, things he would do that would herald thousands of people. But this dude can do everything. I saw him on a show eat a Carolina Reaper, and he didn't flinch, and I know it was real. Like,
Yeah.
how can a dude get his mind where he can do that, shove a knife up his nose, tightrope over Rio de Janeiro? What I mean, it's like what you're saying is we have the ability to do anything.
Okay. Listen to this, Joe. So 2 years ago, My, I had been relapsing remitting. I lived with relapsing remitting for like 26 years. 2 years ago, it morphed into secondary progressive. And secondary progressive MS, there's only one way, and it's not up, it's down.
Yeah,
It's a slow, gradual decline. You don't recover from it.
yeah,
Okay. So 16 months ago, I started a paleo keto diet. It's a protocol by a Dr. Terry Walls who has MS, and she recovered from secondary progressive. And so she knows she has the protocol.
yeah.
And like I've been installing that in my life. And Joe, back in September, I was doing 2/10 of a mile a day. From the moment my head got off the pillow in the morning to the moment it went back. That's just 2/10 a mile.
Yeah,
That's less than one lap around a track all
yeah,
day long in
yeah,
all my activities of daily living.
yeah,
Okay, this month I'm doing 1.4 miles a day.
yeah,
Joe, what?
yeah. I know. It's
You don't
crazy.
do that.
Yeah, yeah,
First of all, you don't fucking do it once the
yeah,
way I did it 20 years ago.
yeah.
And then as a as a 55-year-old man, have the wherewithal to say, you know what? I'm gonna effing do this
Uh-huh.
again.
Yeah, yeah.
Excuse me. I don't mean to say that.
No, you're good. No, you're good. You're totally good. No, I do it all the time. So let me ask you this. You've obviously had a lot of inspiration in your life. Who has been that person? Who has been that inspirational force or hero for you?
Um, Gosh, who's been that? Probably my dad,
Yeah,
my mom and my dad. Like, uh, and I mean, I was raised in an upper middle class, environment, but we had struggles. That just because you're raised in upper middle class doesn't mean you don't have struggles, and my dad was just the rock, you know, for all of us. Um, it was, it's an amazing thing. And to see him, he's 90 now and he's doing 2 miles a day,
wow.
and to see that. So, my family, my brother told me to get my butt to OHI, 20 years ago. He didn't say it like that,
Yeah,
He didn't. I mean, that's my interpretation. He wouldn't have said that that's what he said,
yeah,
you know, but that's how I heard it. And that's how I took it because I knew I was in trouble.
yeah.
and my mom just unconditionally loved me for years, and she still does, and so, my family unit, that family unit, we have a tight family unit. Um, and that's been my rock.
So what gets you up every day and motivates you to do all of these things you do to the best of your ability and also feed and nurture your soul?
What gets me up? I meditate first thing.
Yeah,
So, what pulls me out of bed in the morning? Hitting my meditation mat.
yeah,
I'm on a 140-day, you know, swing of meditation,
yeah,
and I don't want to break the chain.
yeah,
So I start there.
yeah,
I start just with that one thing.
sure.
Just get out of bed and don't sleep in. The bed's really comfortable. And, you know, and getting up with MS is tough because you're sore and you're achy. But you know what? It doesn't do me any good to wallow in any of that crap.
Yeah,
So I get up, I hit my mat, I go take my walk at the beach, I come home, I drink my water, my kombucha, and my drink my tea. Then I go out and tackle my day.
yeah,
So I have those daily like practices that feed my body. The physical, this there's the seven vibrants, and the physical vibrant has six doctors, which is diet, water, exercise, rest, sunshine, and breathing.
yeah,
And those are the six elements that build chi prana, life force in the body. And that's all physical is.
yeah,
You get those six elements humming, and your physical life like turns around.
yeah,
And that's just the physical vibrant.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So let me ask you this. The one thing about doing the things that you've talked about is it involves a level of risk.
Yeah, yeah.
Look
Right.
back, when you look back on your life, what's the
Oh my
biggest
God.
risk you've taken?
Oh my God. Um, the biggest risk might have been asking the company I work for 4 months off to heal.
Yeah,
Because when you do that, that's corporate suicide. You raise your hand and say, you know what? I'm damaged goods. I need space here, but I'm going to do it. So that was a big risk. Another big risk was just I remember the day Christmas of 2005, I went in my dad's study and I started to write my book. And like just starting there, like
yeah,
just starting, like that was a huge risk. And it took me 8 years. Like I was not a writer of narrative prose. I was a logical project, software development project manager, program manager, you
yeah,
know? I mean, I didn't have that right left brain synthesis. And I certainly wasn't intuitive at all. Emotions, those are a waste of time.
yeah,
Oh my God. I had to write on my own for 2 years before my writing coach would even take me on
yeah,
because I was so disconnected from
yeah,
my intuition. So, um, so those are risks. Those are risks.
yeah. So let's say you walk into a room of everybody that you've coached or that has known you in a business sense, and you walk up to a podium and you can tell them one fun thing about you, one fun story, one fun anecdote. What would you tell that room of people that would humanize you, that would be awesome?
God, one fun story. Um,
Could be a first concert you went to, it could be a seminal experience.
yeah. Um, I was gonna go to Live Aid. I was gonna go to Live Aid in '84.
Wow.
All my best friends went. I was a rising freshman in high school,
Yeah.
and all my buddies went. All my buddies went, but my parents wouldn't let me go.
Wow.
My parents were like, "Nah, we don't know. There's too much risk here." And I played basketball all day. I played basketball in my driveway for 6 hours that day.
Wow.
Um, but that gives you some inkling into who I am. Like I didn't wallow in it. I didn't sit in front of the TV and be like just scrolling through channels,
Yeah.
scrolling through cable. I mean, and my buddies had a great time.
Yeah.
And they still talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, but but I couldn't go because my parents were more concerned about my well-being and safety.
Yeah.
And I don't besmirch them at all.
Yeah. Sure.
Like I'm a parent. I'm a parent and I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Of everything that you've done and accomplished and evolved into, what are you the
Yep.
proudest of?
One of my proudest though. Ooh. Um, uh, proud I'm proudest that I'm a father.
Yeah.
I'm proudest that I'm a father and that like I'm a father with MS.
Yeah.
And you know what? That was no excuse not to coach my son in lacrosse.
Yeah.
I didn't use it as an excuse. I've never used MS as an excuse. I've used it as a reason to do my best. You
Yeah.
know, it's almost like motivation to inspire me to get over myself and
Yeah.
just do it. Just do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. If you were to
Yeah.
have a dream tonight, ran into the 18-year-old version of you, you could
Yeah.
give
Yeah.
that young version of you a piece of advice based on this life you've led, the wisdom you've accumulated. What advice would you give that young version of you?
Yeah, my 18-year-old self. Um, like I was at 18, I was going hard.
Yeah.
Like I was going really hard in all aspects of my life. And I would say keep going hard.
Yeah.
That and start investing sooner.
Yeah.
Start invest time value of money. I mean, time is your biggest asset as a 21-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Just put $1,000 away a year.
Yeah.
2,000. Like just do it. Like sacrifice, because those other things, yeah, they're going to be fun, but man, if you do that, it's just going to multiply.
Yeah.
And it's just going to make your life that much easier.
Yeah.
Like do things, do things now that might seem like sacrifices, but
Yeah.
they're going to set you up later. And also, like, eat healthy,
Yeah.
eat healthy,
Yeah.
eat healthy and exercise.
Yeah.
Like, like the fact that I've had to live with MS has caused me to eat healthy
Yeah.
and exercise. And if you looked at me, you're like, I mean, I w- I'm the same weight that I was my senior year in high school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? Because I was smart. Well, I had to be about how I fed my body.
Yeah.
And like do that now because it makes things so much easier later.
For sure. So let me,
So go
yeah.
ahead.
No, no, no. I was just going to say, at the end of the day, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, everyone
Yeah,
you know, everyone that gets your book, but you run the show. What's your
yeah.
perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Who do I think I am? Um, uh, all right. I'm gonna say this, but I hope I don't regret it.
Yeah.
I'm a badass motherfucker.
I like it.
Like sorry, Joe, you don't do what I did. No one does. No one does what I did once, much less twice. Like, and I don't mean this to be arrogant or full of myself. I don't. But I know it's uncommon.
Yeah.
People don't do this. Um, but I've been able to do it. And, I've got a lot of family support, I've got a lot of support in a lot of ways. I'm charmed. I'm charmed in many ways. I really am.
Yeah.
Um, to be able to be seated in front of you, to have this conversation like this.
Yeah. I believe it. I totally believe it. So if anyone wants to pick up your book, anybody wants to reach out, they want to hire you, where do
Yeah.
they go? Any of the good business?
Yeah, yeah. If they want to do business, you can get my book on Amazon, Shadow Summit. So they can also reach out to me at Vibrant, Vibrant, the letter U, academy.com, and reach out to me there and figure me out and kick my tires and see
Yeah.
what this guy really is all about.
Yeah. I love it. John, what a great conversation. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your story. It is. It all of this is tremendously amazing. I'm so glad that I ran into you. So thank you for your story. Thank you for opening
Yes.
up.
Yeah, Joe, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. Absolutely.
Hello, friends. Joe Dimino here. I just wanted to let you know that after 30 years or so, I have finally released my first book of poetry through the mighty Spartan Press here in Kansas City, Missouri. As the creator and host of both Neon Jazz Radio and the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino podcast, along with being a visual artist, I'm ready to embark on a new adventure and want you to be a part of it. You can get a copy online via Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and actually on the streets in Kansas City at the great Prospero's bookstore off 39th Street. You can also visit joedimino.com for links to the book, to more poetry, and everything in my world, including paintings. Thanks for all of the love and support over the years, and please dig the words.